The African Under-20 Championship being held in Egypt. A week ago, we spoke about the Ghana's team that crucial against Central African Republic. You predicted they'll win the game. They won. Unfortunately, they were kicked out by host nation Egypt on penalties. What do you make of the team's performance overall? Now that they're out of the competition, it offers us an opportunity to now do an intrinsic retrospection on the team's problems. What's your assessment on the team's performance generally?
Well, I would say it was an average team. It was an average performance from my point of view. And then it also settled in with the old adage or the norm we know about Ghanaian teams in tournaments. We are slow starters. But in the first game, we drew against Congo. The second game, we picked up, we won. The third game, we won. But you could still see that the team had not yet settled. The team had not really gelled and lay down their principles of play in there. You could see that they are struggling to keep possession. They are a bit frustrated. They are a bit indecisive when they get into the final third. So it's been an average overall team performance for me, even though on the final game or in our last game, that was when I felt, or that was when I saw the Desmond Affair side that we know, dominating possession, having more of the ball, passing the ball around, being confident on the ball, expressing themselves. But then the mental lapses set in there, the errors that led to the goal. And you put everything together, it's an average. This is not the best under-20 side I have seen, Soti.
Well, let's look at you've spoken about Desmond Affair already. Let's look at the individual performances. Aziz Issa scored a goal or two. Hakim Suleiman also scored a goal. Jerry Free was very important. You spoke about Fala, it's an average squad. What do you think was the undoing of the team in our exit?
Well, the undoing of the team has to do with the mentality. I think it has to do with how they grasp the basic or how often they do the basics. When you are that comfortable in doing the basics, you don't struggle to mentally get yourself up there. You could see from the mistakes or from the goals we conceded. It's a basic mistake. I mean, when you play Sunday League football, as a defender, you don't allow the ball to bounce a few meters away from you. Either you are heading it off or either you are controlling it with your feet or your thigh. Again, you ask the second goal, or I think the first goal, is also an issue about communication. On the field of play, you communicate. You speak amongst yourself. You talk to each other. Cover me. Stand to the left. Go to the right. Cover my back. Move forward. That is how a team plays together, or that is how a team relates when it comes to difficult moments. So it has to do with mentality, and it has to do with how they fail to settle or do the basics when it comes to defending. So I think it was what really undone us. Playing the ball, getting into space, creating chances, it wasn't a problem. We saw right from all through the game that even though they scored quick goals, we were the better side. We had the most of the possession. Our boys were expressive. They were dribbling. They were moving into space. Decision making in there when it comes to our forwards, and then the basics and mentality when it has to do with the defense. But again, some sort of good list in the mentality. They lifted up their game. I mean, when they conceded 2 goals, they rallied back and to tie the score line and then get us into extra time. But it was still lacking in there, and it propped up again in the extra time where the defender was running through the back of the player, and then unfortunately it touched him. That is Aaron Issel. So it still has to do with the basics, mentality, and then issues of settling in to do the normal things in there, Soti.
Well, looking ahead, there will be WAFU Under-20 Championships upcoming. What do you make of the prospect of this team, and do you think that Coach Desmond Affair stands a chance of taking the team? Do you think he should remain?
Well, for me, I think he should remain. Looking at how he began this whole project, when you are judging him with the All-African Games, when you are judging him with the WAFU qualifiers, and then even with a little or with just recent performances in the Under-20, he should be maintained. But you ask yourself, are we going to see the core of these team members playing that WAFU tournament? It's like for every Under-20 or for every youth team, we are not fortunate to have at least 15 or 20 members from a previous tournament. They are always coming in and out. There are always changes. You also ask yourself, that team that played for that under 17 under Lai Kingston, how many of them were in the squad? How many of them have transitioned? How many of them have been groomed and nurtured to take up the next step in their developmental career? It's not there, Soti. I think, for me, I think Desmond Offer should choose between one of the jobs. Currently, he's still there. He is the assistant coach for the Black Stars. He can do it. He has the ability. He qualifies for it. He's shown enough. But when it comes to youth development and football proper, you have to stand for one. I think hovering between these two jobs takes a toll on him. You have to qualify the national team to the World Cup. You have to develop the under 20 to be a formidable force on the African continent, get them through to the World Cup, and make a good name for himself. It's too much of a burden for a young manager. The FA should make a bold step. Let him stick to one youth group. If it's the national team, make him the assistant coach. If it's the under 20, let him remain, let him be, and then make sure that he gets the process and the team building running. He's also an instructor when it goes to the technical side at the GFA. So he has a lot of knowledge. They should just give him one job. Stay with the under 20. De La Fuente stayed a lot of years, or he had a good couple of years with the youth sides at Spain before he moved into the national team itself. He knew all these crop of players. He knew like two youth groups before he moved a lot of them into the national team. That should be the case. You shouldn't be hovering in between two jobs. Tell me which top national team out there uses the under 20 coach as the assistant coach for the national team. It's not done anywhere. They are two separate entities with a huge burden on itself. So he has to stick to one of the teams. But for me, he's good for the job at the under 20.
Well, away from football, let's head to athletics, where over the weekend, Ghana participated